Hello.
We are having a little bit of delays. I'm going to play the intro because Facebook is not connecting. So here's the intro.
Flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Let's go out and have fun.
Roger that, Sally.
Okay, how are you?
I'm here.
Yes, it is not connecting to Facebook, and I don't understand why. Let me just remove Facebook. So we are live on YouTube, and give me a moment. YouTube's the only one that's working. Come on, I don't want to schedule for later. How do I remove it? Okay. Remove. Perfect. All right, so we're live on YouTube. I'm going to add Facebook. Let's see if this works. Save changes. It's so far so good. We're connected to Facebook. Hello.
Hello.
So we have arrived at September 7th. We've survived the new moon, which was yesterday. Yes.
Oh, you always keep me up on that stuff because I never know.
Hello, Hope. Exactly. Hello, Hope. Well, I mean, I have to stay on top of it because the moon affects my moods and my emotions, which ties into tonight's show.
It does. And I'm trying to quickly and stealthily share this to my page. And I'm doing neither. So
I told you it's slow this week. I want to welcome everyone to the Escape Reality Podcast. It just seems like everything the last year and a half has been slow flowing. I'm noticing electronic issues or electric techie issues when it's not Mercury retrograde. So I just think at this point, it's really not a shock when we're shocked about something else that's going on this year. That's just my feelings.
And your
Hello,
feelings
Marie.
are valid. Marie is here.
Yeah, Marie is here and Hope is here. We can't see everybody because we are looking. And there's Martina. We can't see everybody as we can only see, I guess we can. We've got YouTube filing in. We've got Facebook filing in. So tonight is an important topic because it affects more people than I think people realize.
There's a lot of people out there that deal with this issue on an everyday basis, whether it's themselves, friends, family. And there's also people out there that will not talk about it no matter what you do. So,
oh gosh, yes.
So we're here and we're trying to bring this topic out into the light and
exactly.
Yeah.
You said out into the light, and then look who shows up, Deb and RJ. Yes, welcome, guys. We're talking about something that's touchy, and Tim, you're so right. So many people, like I said, if you can't face something within yourself, you'll never be able to face that within the world. Meaning, how can you even embrace someone else's state of being and be compassionate to it? I think it's really important. I mean, most of us don't even realize that we are experiencing depressive symptoms on the daily.
I mean, I've dealt with it for so long, and I'm not going to rehash my story, but I've dealt with it for so long that luckily I can kind of feel this coming on. And I've been feeling this for about a week and a half. And then earlier this week, or before the weekend, it hit me, and I was not in a good place. And I'm slowly digging myself out of it.
How do you dig yourself out of it?
That's the thing. There's no cookie cutter formula. for me it works, for others it won't, and that's what makes this so frustrating and sad, is that it doesn't work for everybody, and I wish it would. We've talked about professional wrestling on this show, I think every episode. But a former wrestler, and she went by the stage name of Daphne, committed suicide last week, and
I didn't
it
know
was
that.
a
I'm
big thing.
sorry.
It was a big thing all over Twitter, and everybody, thoughts and prayers, hugs, love, all that good stuff. But in her final moments, she felt alone. Whether that was justified or not, she felt alone. And I can relate to it. I'm going to open up here a little bit. There are quite a few people that absolutely love me, and I'm thankful for that, and I love them too. But when you get into these depressive, I guess we'll call them episodes, your brain doesn't let you acknowledge that. Your brain makes you feel alone. And even though I'm aware of what's happening with my own body, because unfortunately I have a lot of experience with this, my brain still tells me nobody cares. Nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to deal with your BS. And that's just the way it is. And we need to make people understand that don't deal with this, that that's how it is. It's not somebody just being sad. It's not somebody that's just choosing to be sad every day. There's an imbalance there somewhere. And I think I got a pretty good grasp on what started all this for me. And I used to point to 2006. But honestly, I think it goes back to about 1984. And losing my dad at an early age, and then everything else that kind of piled up throughout my childhood. And I'm not blaming anybody in my childhood. I'm just saying that set the course of events. And before I realized it, I was in too deep. And 2007 came along, and I had the suicide attempt. And thank God for Murray. But not everybody has a Murray.
No, they don't. And suicide is unfortunately incredibly real. Incredibly real. And also, unfortunately, there's not a rational thought in your mind. When that's happening, when you're thinking of doing this, there's not a rational thought in your mind, and that's not your fault. No, and I do feel that with depression, there are lists of similar symptoms that if you're depressed, you can experience XYZ. But I also find that each of us experience it differently and for different reasons. Some of us aren't, they say that when you will be willing to meet someone else where you're willing to meet yourself. And some people don't want to go there because of things in the past that have been incredibly painful. Some of us have gone there. Some of us are at different stages of grieving certain events and certain traumas. And I don't think as a nation and as a society, we are taught how to be, and then that it's okay. And then you have help. And I know that you said that you would rather, when you're in this space, be keep people out. It's your space. I'm the opposite. I don't necessarily want everybody in, but sometimes I need support or help, and I don't know how to ask for it. But I know being isolated is almost torture. It's agonizing. Depression is agonizing.
It's agonizing, and you mentioned wanting to be alone, and for some reason I care about my hair today. You mentioned wanting to be alone. I am a very open person with my struggles, because I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that people that follow my journey understand that I'm going to have bad days. I'm going to have bad weeks, and hopefully it ends there. But a lot of people, this goes on for much longer than weeks. And I think it's important for them to see, I post all these great things that I'm able to do through Potographs for Pooches, through Fox Cities Paranormal Team, all these fantastic things that I'm afforded the opportunity to do. But they also need to see that I'm a normal person, and I really do struggle with this stuff. And hopefully they can relate to that. And then hopefully the next time they see these happy things, they say to themselves, hey, I can do that too. So I want to be a source of hope. I want to be a source of inspiration. But in order to do that, I need to share my story and also let people in and let them know that, it's okay not to be okay. We end the show every week like that.
When I'm paying attention.
but it's not just a catchphrase. I mean, it really is okay not to be okay. But like I was saying, I'm very open about everything that I experience. And I think that's important. But how do I say this without pushing people away? When I do that, the last thing I want is 400 messages asking me if I'm okay. It's overwhelming. And when you're feeling the way I was feeling last week, overwhelming isn't a good thing. It's not a good thing at all.
No.
I will answer a handful of people that are in my trusted circle. And I'll keep it to that because that's all I can handle at that particular time.
And I know that feeling. It's important to have. And sometimes, when you always bring a certain element to the show, and I feel like I could never do the show and not do my stuff, my work. And part of my work is, it is being an open book and then sharing part of what I go through, but the spiritual aspect, what do you do when you're in this space? And it's important that people know that it is okay to be where you're at, but it's also equally as important to know that you need to process feelings as painful as they are and as horrible as they are. I mean, sometimes those feelings are like regurgitating pieces of glass, and that's not an exaggeration. It is the most uncomfortable thing to do when you begin self-healing. And it's a different process for everybody. But a lot of the depression comes from, I find, not knowing that you're depressed. And because you don't know which areas to explore or allow yourself to explore to heal.
I agree. There was one thing you said I want to touch on. When you said, healing, sometimes you don't know what's causing you or
Right.
causing yourself to feel the way you're feeling, which makes it incredibly difficult to heal.
Right.
Because you spend so much time trying to figure out why your brain hates you that day. What caused you to feel this way today? And I will say this, I met some incredible people at Michigan Paracon. We covered that last week. But I connected with so many people that understood my journey because they were on the same journey. And I feel a sense of responsibility now to help those folks on that journey.
Yeah. You bring a sense of hope.
And the thing is, my promise to all of them is I'll keep fighting if you keep fighting. You got to find something that makes you get up every day and keeps you excited for life. There has to be hope. There has to be something to look forward to. For me, it was Murray for the longest time. But here I am almost 2 years later. I'm still here. And I'm still here because I made a promise to him that I wouldn't hurt myself if he let me know I was okay, or if he let me know that he was okay.
And he doesn't stop.
Yeah, and he holds up his end of the bargain almost every day.
Yes, he does.
So I have to. I can't not do it. So for me, there's not a choice. And I've gotten myself to that point, and I feel good about that. I'm still living for him. But for other folks, they don't have that. They don't have that choice. They don't have that. They don't have option Murray. But you got to find.
That's why I do what I do. I may not be Murray, but if we don't shine a light on the areas that are our largest deficits, and if we don't do it with compassion, we will never be able to move from suffering to peace. And it's so important that while you're there in that moment when you don't feel okay, that you allow something that feels peace filled, whether honestly it's a taco, a nap. Jamie was talking about being selfish, but you're right. This society teaches us, are you kidding me? You're going to go to a therapy appointment and we don't have money, or you're going to go and, meet your needs, mind, body, soul. And we are almost used to guilt trips more than we are used to the feeling of well-being. And I know, Tim, you hate when I get spiritual and stuff, but we are mind, body, and soul. And when we neglect that soul part of us, or we don't bring that soul part of us that experience those experiences, we miss out on a whole different part of the journey. Sometimes we don't have that money for therapy, but that's why I'm such an advocate for breathing, even on the toilet, because each of us will be on the toilet. And at some point during the day, we could put our phone down and we could choose to worry, or we could put the phone down and choose to just do a breath. I want to touch on something, and it's not to add in fear, but it is to add in insight. We covered shadows a few shows back, and we do talk about low vibrational energy quite a bit. And one of the biggest aspects of the paranormal that I want people to really realize is that darker energy is just as a part of the world as light energy. It's just a part of our world, period. And just like when you are healing, you don't want to hang around the old group of people, right? They're going to bring you back to old habits. They're going to remind you of what you're trying to heal from. And darker energy, again, whether it comes in the form of that old group or self-hating thoughts or self-sabotaging thoughts, that internal dialogue is not always of our light. So it's so important that we hold on. I am trying to keep up with the messages at the same time. Yeah, Deb, my brain hates it when everything goes through it. Some people overeat when they're depressed. I don't want to eat at all. I just am like, bleh. But it's so important to know what it means to be okay where you're at, and not to kick ourselves. And until we jump in and change that internal dialogue, anytime we feel that dip, we're going to go right to self-defeat. It's our natural response. I'm not trying to do therapy on you, Mr. Miley, but I think that's with a lot of, I feel like Rods from Monsters Inc. I think with a lot of us, we don't know how to ask for help. We don't know how to feel good. So how do we let it in? It's almost so foreign for us.
Asking for help is not the issue. Accepting the help is.
Yes.
Accepting the help is the difficult part. And that leads back to the amount of people. And please don't take this the wrong way, people that are listening. I appreciate everybody caring. I really do. But when that amount of caring is multiplied by 400 or 500 people, like I said, it's a little overwhelming. And then I'll retreat into my cave and come out once my brains feel a little bit better. I appreciate all those people. I appreciate the love and the friendship from all of those people. Because they're the people that make Potographs work, and that's why they care so much. I get that. I get all of that, but it still ends up being too much, and I can't accept that help, and I kind of shut down. But it was a rough week, and but we're getting through it. And when it started, it was a rough day, and I thought, well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to be fine because I felt great here for the last, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 months. But then it just kept going and kept going. And, here we are. And I think I'm about a week and a half into it. And I mean, I still recognize it, and I'm still fighting, and I'm still able to smile once in a while. But, my brain's doing its best to win, and we can't let it. So, yeah. So for the people that, I have been interacting with this week, that means I love you more than the rest of them. So, no, that's not true. But there are just people that I feel more comfortable with,
Yeah.
There's people that I feel very comfortable with that I know are going through their own things, and I don't want to bother them with my stuff. So a lot of times that's why I won't talk to a certain group of my friends, because I know that they're going through their own stuff. So I don't want to throw my stuff on top of it. So the important thing is, recognizing it and understanding it. And like I said in the beginning, depression is not just being sad. Anxiety is anxiety is not just, I don't want to go to the grocery store today. Anxiety is being frozen to the couch and not being able to shower.
Not wanting to shower.
Yeah.
Working from home and staying in yoga clothes because you're convinced that after the third day, you're going to do yoga today. But not wanting to put your makeup on. And I've done a lot of videos live where I've said, I'm not doing makeup today, or I didn't feel, because it's okay. It's absolutely okay. But we have to be careful we've got to be careful to become aware of some of these symptoms, and then to be responsible for our own help, our own well-being. Because Deb said it best. I mean, you can't, and you said it, it's not your fault. Especially with the world today, someone said on here, I have PTSD. So much trauma is happening on a daily basis, and we are desensitized to the amount of trauma, but it doesn't mean our brain is. So we are being almost traumatized every day, that whether we like it or not, that TV goes on or off, volcanoes are going off. And again, I'm not trying to be negative, but there are lots of external reasons that so many of us are in a low vibrational depressive state quite a bit. We also had the moon. I know. Are you okay?
Yes, I think so. It was just that one that needed to come out.
I don't have a Heimlich button. I would be pressing it right now. Heimlich. No.
That's one of the drawbacks of living alone. My future is up to my cat, and I think that means I'm screwed.
Not necessarily. Cats are amazing. I have some if you want some. I've got 5,000 cats for free. No. This is really important. The new moon, again, everything is energy. You are expressing energy right now, whether you realize it or not. When you are talking about that 400 amount of people responding to you, you are feeling a sense of overwhelm. So that's important, because they're nowhere near your face, but it's still energy. And when so many of us are clairsentient, clear feeling, and then add in the empath level, the dynamic. So we are the feelers of the feelers of the feelers. And when we're neglecting our own empathy and our own needs, it's not going to take much to knock us off. And this new moon, anytime we have a new moons are endings. They're endings. Darker things tend to come up to the light. Sometimes I'm not saying that depression is a necessity. I think suffering happens. I think when we become aware of our suffering and we continue to ignore it, we choose to suffer. But I do believe sometimes things come to the light. So spirit could say, you see, now what can we do about it? And sometimes we have to pray for the willingness to be willing to receive that help. I don't mean pray like let's get all Jesus Christo right now, but I mean talk to your universe, whether you meditate, whether you manifest with the stars, whether you go to church, whether you talk to your dad on the other side and your dog. It's so important to say, hey, I need some help. I don't know I told my doctor I'm off. I went to my regular family doctor and I said, I'm off. I don't know what's going on, but you, and you know when you are able to function and when you don't. Some of us have chemical imbalances that, again, aren't our fault. Some of us have blood pressure imbalances. And it's important that if you are clinically depressed or there's clinical, there's so many mental health things that could be going on. I take an antidepressant every day because if not, I'll cry all day long. And it's been for 19 years since my daughter was born. I have to. Um, energy is a very scary thing. You feel when you're off. And that's very scary when you can't control being off.
You mentioned the medication, and I'm happy you did because it's one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. Some people are comfortable with medication, and that's fantastic for them.
Mm-hmm.
I tried medication and I quit. I've been doing this and battling on my own for the last 16 years without help. And the reason I stopped with the medication is not because I'm some big tough man and I don't need no medication. I took the medication and it made me feel like I was watching my life from outside my body, if that makes sense. And I didn't like not being in control because newsflash, Tim's a control freak. Those who didn't know that, welcome to Tim's life. I don't like anyone else having control over or anything else having control over my thoughts and my emotions. And I think that was a Freudian slip when I said I don't like letting anybody else having control over my thoughts and my emotions, because that goes for relationships too. But getting back to the subject at hand, the medication didn't work for me. For millions of people, it does. Mm-hmm. And if it works for you, that's fantastic. Please keep taking it. And I'm not just talking to you, April. I'm talking to everybody that's listening here.
Right.
For me, it didn't work, though.
Yeah, I've tried going off of it. I mean, I like I said, when I gave birth to my daughter, who's 19, this was 2001. I had postpartum really bad, and I don't think I ever snapped out of it. And it's been a whirlwind trying to find the correct dose and the correct medicine. And when you find the correct medicine, it's like the right hairstylist. Something changes, they move away, and then it doesn't work anymore. So it is a pain in the butt, but I just want some people to know that it is an option. It isn't the only option. I always will say, if you don't like where you're at and you're willing to try things, you got it. How does Wayne Dyer say it? You have to be willing. Amazing teacher, amazing man. You have to be willing to do something you've never done in order to receive something you've never had. So when we get to this point of depression symptoms and we know those symptoms again, if medicine doesn't work, if therapy doesn't work, why not entertain Reiki healing or chakra? And that's where I find a lot of people, they have the awareness, they have the choice, and they don't take the action. And so I'm open to, this is the work that so many people do, Deb as well. And I think aside from the doctors, because I would talk to not me, but you to talk to your doctor and be like, dude, what you put me on sucked. Could we have some follow through? Unfortunately, in today's age, so many of us have to advocate for our own medical well-being, which sucks. But it's so important that we try something, because something is better than being in that state. because it's so dangerous. You could go from awareness to clinical depression very quickly.
Can I share something with the group here?
Yeah.
It's gonna be gross, and I know this. So I understand this. It's not Crisco gross, so don't worry.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
The last week and a half, I looked out my window and I saw my lawn, and my lawn was incredibly long, and it was embarrassing. And I couldn't get myself to go out there and do anything about it. I wanted to take my dogs into the backyard, but the grass was too long, and I didn't want to take the dogs into the backyard because I couldn't get myself to do anything about it. My dishes have sat in my sink for a week and a half. I know I'm supposed to do them. Like a normal adult does the dishes as soon as they dirty them. But I haven't been able to get myself to do it. My house is a mess because I sit on the couch all day trying to bribe myself into cleaning. Well, I'll let myself do this for a half hour and that'll be fun. And then I got to get up and I got to clean a room. But after a half hour, I'm like, I really don't want to get up and clean that room. So the house is a disaster. The yard's a disaster. The dishes are a disaster. I didn't get my mail for a week and a half because that brings me the most anxiety out of anything. And I still don't understand that to this day. So yeah, when I say I was not in a good place, I was not in a good place. And I made some progress. I did the yard and I got my mail in. But now
sometimes it takes a lot. Sometimes it takes a lot to go from the couch to the bedroom to go to sleep at night.
Yeah, and that's another thing. My existence during this week and a half has been work, and then come home and nap, feed myself, feed the dogs, and then go to bed. It's been horrible. I do want to say that I did have something incredible happen this week or this weekend that I need to touch on. I need to thank John Pfeiffer from Farview Golf Course, who put on a wonderful golf scramble for Autographs for Pooches. I think 10 teams played this past Saturday on a Labor Day weekend. We raised almost $1,500 for Second Chance.
Awesome.
I will say this. I golfed with 3 of my best friends. My cousin Jason, my buddy Tony, and then everybody knows Todd. We got to the last hole and we finished. And we all gathered, the 4 of us, and we just had a team hug. And I pointed up and I started crying uncontrollably.
Oh.
Because I've always wanted to do more with autographs than just paranormal events. And finally it happened. And I hugged my cousin Jason, and I cried on his shoulder, and I hugged Todd, and I looked at Todd, and Todd was crying too. And I'm sorry if I'm giving away that. Todd's sensitive. But we did. We shared a cry. And it meant something because we were able to do that. And again, just thank you to Farview Golf Course for doing that. John Pfeiffer, the great people that work there. They were so supportive on Saturday, and we had such a great time. And could not have done it without them. So good things happen even when you're feeling like shit. And I guess the point of that story is sometimes you have to push yourself to places that you aren't comfortable. Because if you don't fight and you don't leave that couch, you don't give yourself a chance.
So what are some of those things that people can do that can help them leave the couch? And again, we're figuratively speaking. You literally could be glued to the couch and go from one side to the other, which I've done before. Or you're glued to the couch in your life repetitively over and over, same day, like Punxsutawney Phil, right?
Yeah.
So what are those tools for discovery? You talked about getting off the couch and getting involved in something that means a lot to you.
And for me, the thing that means the most to me are my dogs. So it's easy for me to get stuck on the couch because Molly doesn't care if I'm laying on the couch. Ray will lay next to me, and they are enablers. I'll say it.
Darn dogs.
But for me, I've always told people to find something that brings you joy. Find something that you can look forward to. Having something to look forward to, having something that gives you hope, helps you push forward. It doesn't have to be every day. I mean, in 2 weeks, I have an event in Ripon, Wisconsin for photographs, and that's what's keeping me going now. And then in October, I get to go to Indiana. I get to do some library stuff around here. November, word on the street is I'll be back in Michigan. There's always something for me to look forward to. And that helps me. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this. You would think by now I would be. But
no, I mean, if you're upright and you can smile and you're willing to talk about and you're present, you're coherent, there's something that you do that helps you through the darker moments.
I will say this.
Hope to people.
I'll wrap up and then I'll let you talk because I'm doing too much talking. For the longest time when I woke up in the morning, I was upset. That's just me being real. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'm not in that same place I was. I wake up and I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy to see the excitement on Ray's face. I'm happy to see Molly breathing.
Oh God, right?
And
amen.
For me, my darkest times, I would wake up every morning, open my eyes and go, why? Why? I don't do that anymore. And there's folks out there that do.
Yeah, they do.
And I wish my biggest fear, and I'm afraid to share this, honestly. My biggest fear is that I'm not going to be able to help somebody one of these days.
But that's why you create a network, and then you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because there are so many people that come to me, and I don't want them to stop. That's not what this is about. But there are so many people that come to me and they share their story, and they want me to share mine, and I will gladly do that. But someday I'm not going to be able to help somebody. And selfishly, I wonder what's that going to do to me. Because I can't even imagine that guilt. I can't imagine it. So that's my biggest fear as I open up and I do what I can to help as many people as I can. Someday I'm not going to be able to. And, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that someday never comes. But the more opportunity I get to talk to people about this, the more likely it is that I'm going to connect with somebody that one day isn't going to be here anymore. And not being able to find the right words or not being able to lead them in the right direction for help. I don't know how I'm going to handle that. So, so we're opening up. We're escaping reality. Not really.
Well, the truth is, if you have to come here to escape reality and we're talking about depression, those are the things that it's the elephant in the room, and sometimes you've got to handle your stuff instead of avoid it. And when you avoid and ignore depression knowingly, you forfeit so much. You literally forfeit so much. What you were saying, opening up is important. Not judging yourself is also equally important, because we have to be willing to notice when those other emotions come in, like guilt. Tom brought it up. I love I see the phrase, but I can't even process that. The guilt never goes away. Guilt is never of God. Guilt is never of higher power, source, spirit, Allah. I don't care what your higher power is. But the truth is, if we are living in the darkest moments and not connecting to that higher power, how are we going to really get through them? Guilt is mom's guilt, mother's guilt. It's horrible. It's paralyzing. But it also is a doorway that leads you deeper into fear. And it's important. You said the word enjoy earlier. And I don't like to spell it ENJOY. I like to spell enjoy INJOY, because when you are in joy, when you're enjoying something, you're in joy. And joy doesn't have to be a parade. It can also be what feels like a really good nap. It feels like going for a walk, because you may not be able to get to the golf tournament that you need to get to. But just going for a walk around the block, it is so important that these are the areas we learn to allow ourselves to explore. It isn't easy. Depression is definitely it's more prevalent than I think people realize. And I'm possibly talking to most of the viewers right now. Either we're secretly experiencing depression, whether we're medicated or not, or we are, some people say hard work, hard work. We have folded that into, this is hard work. We're struggling. This is what this means. No, it's being overwhelmed. There's a level of boundaries that aren't being observed, whether those boundaries are emotional. Like you said earlier, what if we don't know? What if we don't know what we're feeling? That's the first step. I feel like shit. Give yourself a voice. So many of us were raised at a time through our own trauma where we were taught to shut up. You don't have a voice. Or even by absence, we were told that we don't matter. So it's so important that when we're in these darker spaces, that we bring in that change, that transformation, so we can change. We can allow the change to happen, even if it's watching a radio show right now. I know I'm people are like, you're positive. No, there's a lot of choice words I don't share on Facebook, but I'm positive that I'm sick and tired of the level of negativity in the world. I'm positive that I'm tired of people not being in their alignment and being in joy, because they're more used to being alone than they are being in love or loved. Great scene from the movie The Shack. If you've never seen it, please watch it. The guy wrote it, and it's for men, women, all the above. It's hard to get through. You're going to need Kleenex. But the spiritual messages in that movie, over. There's a scene where God, who is a woman, one of the times God comes through in the movie, and says to the main character, they're looking at a blue jay, and she says, Mac, that bird was born to fly, but you were born to be loved. And it's such a powerful movie, because when we even let ourselves watch something different instead of crime drama, paranormal movies, now we wonder why our dreams are hectic all the time. God is going to talk to each and every one of us however God can. Through a pat on the back at a golf tournament, in a movie, in a song, on a really crazy reality show. Spirit's going to get through to us. Always going to get through to us. But do you want to feel better? What happens if you let go?
You froze up there. I didn't know you were done.
Yes, I said, what happens if you love The Shack. Great movie, great book. What happens if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable in letting life in? Not love, doesn't even have to be people related, but letting life in more. It's scary. It's exhilarating and scary at the same time.
I get enough of life. Because I'm quite busy, so I don't think I'm not getting any life. Most of my life is at events and places that I'm having fun, and then when I'm home, I just like to be home. I don't like to really go out and do anything. I don't like going to like dinner and stuff in public by myself or movies or any of that. I think I've shared that on radio shows, TV shows before. So for me, that's uncomfortable anyway. Because I always feel like somebody's looking at me and going, that poor son bitch doesn't have any friends.
No, I love it, but I didn't for a period of time. I didn't. A lot of people don't.
But the reality is, I mean, all of my friends are married, so I'm not going to be like, hey, let's go have dinner, the three of us, because that's just nobody wants to be the third wheel either. So no, I'm fine usually. Just this last week and a half has been a little trying, and yeah, I mean, I get too much people, and then I need a few weeks off, and then I'll get too much people again.
Yeah,
and then I don't think I have events in December or January, but then I start right back up in February. So I get my fair share of life and people. People are very surprised when I tell them that I don't really watch the paranormal shows. I don't watch many paranormal movies. I get enough of that stuff when we're trying to help people in their homes. I don't really go out of my way to surround myself with it. There was a time when I did, but then I think I got old man in the paranormal syndrome.
Oh.
And I just didn't want to deal with it unless I was dealing with it. So, but a lot of people love that stuff, and I'm not here to tell you not to.
No, I didn't want people to think not to watch Law and Order followed up by, The Exorcist. I was just saying when that is all we watch all the time, we've got to look at what we are surrounding ourselves with on a daily.
Yeah. I do enjoy watching like murder mysteries and stuff just to see if I can figure it out. Some people watch those shows because they're trying to get pointers. Some people just want to help. Some people just want to figure it out on their own. And it's fun for them. Other people are just crazy lunatics and they're looking for
scary.
Ideas.
It's really scary. I mean, it's real. You got to understand the people that write this stuff, thoughts become things. Where do you think they get the inspiration from? Real life stuff. It's crazy. It's creepy, but it's real. That's why I think I love watching it, because you get to watch all the places the human mind can go, and it's not your human mind. It's someone else's. It's a relief. Like serial killers. Like, I love watching that stuff. I just let me reword this. I don't love watching them kill people, but I love like the documentaries. I love when they get into the mind. I love the psychological aspects of the human brain. It's fascinating.
Deb said something in the chat room I want to address. It sounds like we can just turn it on and off. I can't turn it on and off, but I have become very good at ignoring it.
Depression?
Yeah. I can ignore it with the best of them, and then when it hits. But yeah, God, if I could turn it on and off, why would I ever turn it back on? That's yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we can't escape life.
Yeah.
You can't. And
that,
I mean, people,
and that's important too, because like we said, life can suck sometimes, and life sucking is not depression. Life sucking is not anxiety usually. But yeah, there's things we can't ignore. There's things we can't just, push to the side, and you got to deal with them head on. And it's not fun. It's not easy. I one time I had this on my listening notes, so I might as well incorporate it. There was a time when I was talking openly on Facebook about my struggle and mentioning that, hey, I was really looking forward to doing this event. And somebody commented, put a meme in the comments where it said fishing for compliments. And that one comment made me shut down for a while because I'm not looking for attention. If there's anybody out there that really knows me, April, when's the last time that you heard somebody give me a compliment and I took it and went, "Yep, you're right"?
No, you avoid it like the plague.
Yeah. Somebody gives me a compliment and it makes me feel incredibly uncomfortable. A lot of people don't even realize that I'm a natural introvert, because when they see me at these events, I'm doing my best to be outgoing and happy and kissing babies and shaking hands, because that's what Potographs needs. When in reality, I'm not a big fan of babies and I don't want to shake your hand. But it's Potographs is, I've always said, fame isn't important to me, but I will whore myself out for Potographs.
Wow, we could go in so many directions with that.
Yeah, people have tried. It doesn't work. But I mean, what I'm saying is, put me up on that billboard if Murray's face is next to me. I'll do it for him. I'm not doing it for me. So yeah, I mean, it's that's me in a nutshell. It's difficult for me to be in public, but you wouldn't know it. Another person that it's difficult to be in public, John Cassidy. One of my very best.
This is exactly empathy, though. I mean, you are an empath. John is an empath. I mean, everybody that was up at that table on that, on that panel last March, all empaths. If you have a natural ability to wrestle, right? You want to understand yourself. And then, I do hair, blah, 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 but I've got a great ability to wrestle. If you're not embracing the fact that you're an empath, if you're not, how are you going to make decisions that are going to protect you or help you? And forget empathy. There are so many HSPs. We're hearing about that all the time now. There's my John, highly sensitive peoples. Energy is everywhere. Like I said, when we started the show, the world is not what it was 3 years ago. No. It just isn't. And, every time we walk out that door, if we're not taking care of the energy part of us, the highly sensitive part of us, who is going to? It's like not wearing a condom every time you go out that door. Condoms save lives.
I'm sorry. Such an inappropriate thought came into my head, and I got to keep it where it is.
Yes, because this is training. This is soul training with Tim. Yeah. So this is the thing, paranormal stuff, energy, right? Darker energy. If we walk out that door and we don't protect ourselves, we're almost contradicting what we say we do. Right?
Well, right. And what I was mentioning about John, and I'm sorry to kind of call him out by name, but John is famously an introvert, is not comfortable in talking with a bunch of people. But he'll do it at a Potographs event because it's important to him.
Yeah.
And the entire time he's up there, he's not comfortable.
No, I was sitting next to him.
But he's doing it for me. He's doing it for Murray.
Yeah.
And I can't even put into words how awesome that is. It's been a long time since I told John just how much I love him and how much he means to me. He's the reason we do these exclusive events. It was his idea.
Maybe he can do some sort of, I know John's like, don't do it, April. How to protect yourself from energy. And it's not necessarily the same we think of shielding. And no, I mean, if you're sensitive to the world around you, what do you do to soothe yourself, to comfort yourself, to protect yourself? Like Excedrin for headaches. I just think that is so important. You know, we may know how to brush our teeth and put deodorant on, but how do we clean our spirit every day? We don't. You said it best. I do a damn good job of ignoring it until I can't anymore.
You want to hear something hilarious, and it's paranormal related.
Yes.
In the how long have I been doing this now? 14 years. In the 14 years I've been doing paranormal investigation, I have not once cleansed myself, which I don't recommend. Not once. And I've always gone to these events, and I'm like, I should really go over by Deb and RJ. I should really go over there and get that done, and I haven't. So who knows
It's
what
like
I'm carrying around?
on Snoopy, right? We've seen the Snoopy amazing cartoons, but you remember Pigpen? Everywhere Pigpen went, there was that dust bunny that followed him. That's what energy looks like to me when I look at you and you're covered with shit. And it doesn't have to be dark energy. It could be unresolved crap from your ex. It could be.
I am so sorry. I know you're being serious, and I love you.
Am.
But the moment you say, and you're covered in shit, I can't keep a straight face.
Well, that's exactly. Sometimes we walk around with layers and layers and layers of other people's shit that's not our own. And yet we are feeling overwhelmed and we're feeling anxiety and we can't get out of it. To me, this is so powerful. I like to take the shit layers off of you. Ghost Cleanse sounds like an awkward yet satisfying commercial product. I love that. That's funny. It's like summer's evening. 333 summer's evening. Anyway,
Summer's Eve. I thought it was Summer's Eve.
It is, but the ghost product is 333 summer's evening.
So I gotta inject a little bit of humor into this, otherwise it's not our show. Right. I remember growing up and we had 3 channels, and in the summer, my mom would watch her shows, and I'm pretty sure I can still remember them. All My Children, As the World Turns, and Guiding Light. Those are the 3 shows that we watched all summer. And the amazing thing about soap operas is every commercial break, I learned more about the female anatomy than I ever wanted to know.
Yes. It's true.
Yeah. And like, I was 9, 10 years old. I didn't need to know what a douche was.
Well, I always thought that one song, in the middle of the night. I think it was a 70s song. Sun up like a douche in the middle of the night. I don't know. I always thought they were singing about a douche. I never understood what the hell it was, but it wasn't a douche.
Why would you do that in the middle of the night is what I'm asking.
Right. And why are these men singing about this? This is horrible. I just thought it went right along with all the commercials in between.
And why does it got to smell so bad? That's the question.
I don't. Well, that. Again, different realities for different people. That could
there's people out there that think douche smells good.
I have never, ever even entered. I never even thought about. I never.
Okay, let's get back on topic because I feel like we're going off the rails and it's my fault again.
Yes. So depression is important. And we're talking about all of April. Give a Reiki cleanse. I could do that. I could do long distance Reiki. Maybe I'll do like a live long distance Reiki thing with some of my Reiki colleagues. Would you be interested in attending, even though you may think it's weird?
I had Reiki performed on me against my will one time.
Can't ever happen in Reiki, because if your soul doesn't want it, you won't take it, and it won't work.
Well, then it didn't work, but it was awkward. It was a mother-daughter team, and they infiltrated our hotel room. Todd was there, and then had their students do Reiki on us, and it was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah. I think when you understand what Reiki is, and when you're open, again, if people's faith is in the garbage, there's not going to be much. If you have faith in your pain, more than you have faith in your creator, it is going to be imbalanced. You know, it's just,
Okay, so devil's advocate.
yeah.
So on the team, I've always said I don't care what you believe in, but you got to believe in something, because we're going to end up in situations where we're going to have you call upon what you believe in.
Yes.
I don't care if it's a rock.
Correct.
You know, if you're looking at that rock going, this is what gives me strength, then yeah, that's what gives you strength. So my question to you, and I want you to explain it to the people that are watching right now.
Yes.
What is the importance of believing in something? It does. Everybody believes. I truly believe that everybody believes in something. They may not call it God, but there's a reason they get up every day, and there's a reason they choose to be good people.
Yes. Right.
They may not vocalize it. So, to the people that are watching, why is that so important to believe in something?
So it's going to piggyback off of Deb's comment. The creator doesn't have much to do with it, just my humble opinion. When shit's hitting the fan and there is flooding coming, your house is gone, right? What is the very first thing when you hit when your knees hit the floor? You are in desperation, despair. When you are crying and you're like, oh dear God, I can't handle this, you're still talking to what? This is not a faith thing. This isn't a this is not a religious thing. This is a faith thing. When you believe in something, it will manifest. And that is law of attraction 101. Same attracts the same. What you believe is what you receive. And I love when people disagree with me on that, because I say, well, law of gravity works. So law of attraction works too. We just can't see it like the law of gravity. Faith is, I have faith in pizza. I have devout faith in pizza. And there are times when the going gets going, April leans on her pizza. And that's okay. If you don't have faith in anything, anything can step in. That could be other people's opinions. It could be other people's fears. It could be another energy completely. So I believe in believing in what you say you believe in. And if you don't know what that is, then welcome to your spiritual journey. I mean, you have to understand your spiritual journey overlaps on every other part of your life, just like your physical health. If you have a heart attack, I don't care how faith-filled you are, your body is down and out for the count. Same thing with mental health. You could be fit, you could love your source, but if you are clinically depressed, meaning no matter how many push-ups and meditations you do, not that I don't believe in miracles, but I do believe in the fact that clinical depression is clinical depression. You know, and yes, there are more holistic doctors than there are, but again, these are just different avenues to the one light. I believe all of us are light. I believe all of us are a vibration that is connected together at some form, some way, somehow. And on a bigger picture, there's a reason that when we are in the company of good energy, we feel that shit. We feel that stuff. It's why when you meet someone and there's chemistry, or you say goodbye to someone and you're like, I'm going to miss them. When you lose someone or something you love, you know, it's love. If we don't have faith in love, how are we going to get out of our own darkest areas?
It's funny that you say it that way, you bring it up that way, because there's plenty of people that I meet at these events and you have this instant connection with them and you don't understand why. And you've known them for a matter of days, and you care more deeply about them than you do some of the people you've known your whole life.
Agreed. Totally
And
agree.
it doesn't make any sense in that moment. But yeah, like, and Deb said, I thought you said if you believe in creator, Reiki will work. No. I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think that's what we said.
No, but Deb knows this with doing Reiki. You could do Reiki on anybody. If their soul says no to the Reiki energy, if that soul does not want healing or alignment, then it often will not work. That is, you cannot, it's free will. And most people, I've had people, want readings, healing in readings, and not be open to it. So no, if it with Reiki, it's energy. So on a soul level, if that soul says there's no amount of time you could spend from the head to the toe that is going to allow you to penetrate into that person's soul core. Deb, I know you understand that. I hope I explained it better. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. And yeah, a lot of people don't believe in a creator. I believe in a source, and I also believe that we are our own creator. Source energy is running through us. Every moment of every breath is that present moment where your miracle is focused. You're not in tomorrow yet. And thank God you're not back there again. So in these moments, you literally are, you are life creation through every choice you make. So I hope that made more sense. I'm not being weird, but me with you, having heard you speak in your story and also my current ancient beastie, and I do care more about you than people I've known for years, but you also significantly understand some of these thoughts and struggles. Yeah. I think, Tim, that's why you connect so much or so well with people, because you, not that you're so vulnerable, you are very, very down to earth, and you can relate. People can relate to you. It's very relatable. Yes, it's paranormal, but we're talking about depression. That's a real thing. People die from it every day.
Yeah, and another thing I've heard, we're talking about depression and a man talking about it. So that doesn't really always happen.
No, but this is where we've got to push each other, because if we're going to come this far, Miley didn't come this far to come this far. So I'm gonna push you to go through some of those deeper things as a friend would, and I won't push too hard because then you could bounce off Deb a little bit. But and not to ever push anybody into healing or connecting. No, but how about let's talk about what you believe in. If we're gonna blame source and say screw you, why could you not step in and help? We better understand who or what we're talking to. I find faith is a very love-hate kind of thing, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, having lived through it and still living through it, but that's also that's the most frustrating part of it all, though, is knowing that there is no cookie cutter answer. There's no formula for this.
No,
just because it worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. So I will gladly talk to anybody, but the anxiety that I have with it is that what worked for me may not work for you.
Yeah. But some of this is your light work.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk to people I'll talk to people till I'm blue in the face and try to lead them towards their solution, their happiness. But I can't hand that to them, and that I wish I could.
Yeah, but you're, as an empath, you have to understand that and not beat yourself up about it. I mean, we can lead horses to water. We can't make them drink. I mean, I'm over there trying to splash their face with it. But I think one of the hardest things in doing the work that I do over the last 12 years was surrendering the outcome to spirit, because someone else's free will is not my responsibility. And that's been a very hard reality to contemplate. And what you're doing blurs the line a little bit between, motivational speaker and support and advocate to, I'm a little bit of a coach for you. I'm going to cheer you on. I think you should have a list of resources in case you may not be able at some point as you continue to grow, maybe have a handout of resources that you endorse, or even if you generalize them. Murray says, whether it's therapy or, moments alone or bullet journaling or meditation or drum circles, it doesn't matter. These are resources. And I think by you supplying resources to people, you're giving them so much more than just, I'm limited. I can't help you, because that is the hardest part, is not being able to stop someone from doing something that hurts themselves, even when they don't know it.
Yes,
It's
agreed.
very hard. Are you ready to wrap it up?
I think it's time for bed.
I think so too. I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. This was a little deep.
Yeah, I hope people got something out of it. I don't know if the word enjoy is what I want to say here. I hope this show meant something to you, I guess is what we'll go with.
Yeah.
And the discussion doesn't have to stop here. If you want to message the show, if you want to message me, that's fine. Just understand it may take me a day or two to get back to you. But I will get back to you eventually. Share your story with me. I'll share my story with you, and we'll keep fighting together. And collectively, we'll all beat this.
We will. Maybe you and I come up with once a month some sort of, support circle or something, and we could bring in, highly qualified people to oversee it. But we can hold the space. All right, Tim, I want you to know that it is okay.
To not be okay.
Was that okay to swap it?
Yeah, it is. I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
Engaging in the discussion. We had a lot of good conversation back and forth.
Thank you for being my co-host.
Thank you for being mine.
You are welcome. And I will see you next week on Escape Reality. Are we going to do a head bump?
Podcast.